And the other big thing I wanted to talk about was sleep. And it's probably been the most successful thing for my sleep that I've ever tried. It was a sleep protocol developed by a neurologist, Dr. Stasha Gominak. It's called RightSleep. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So this is basically a whole different paradigm of sleep and how we think about it. And the idea is that it's directly linked to your vitamin D levels and your microbiome. And what happens with most people like living in like Western society today is that because we don't get outside enough, our vitamin D gets really low. But the problem is once your vitamin D gets really low, your microbiome also like gets like minimized and the bad bacteria come. And the problem is that just supplementing vitamin D doesn't do anything because you're not regrowing the microbiome. And the way that you do that is by taking a B complex because the bugs in your microbiome, the good bacteria, both feed on and produce their own B vitamins. So the protocol is basically get your vitamin D level between the 60 to 80 range and then take a B50 complex for 3 months. And no more than 3 months because after 3 months, your bugs will basically be producing all the B vitamins you need. And if you continue to take B50, then you're um, then you're basically doing double dose of B, and your sleep will fall apart, and it'll make things worse. But once you have your microbiome back and your D level is back, you start to sleep better. And the idea is most people have sleep disorders today because of the vitamin D level being too low. And I've noticed a lot of benefits being able to sleep a lot faster doing this. And I think it's another potential cause of sleep apnea, the more neurological side of things, whereas you talk about the anatomical side of sleep apnea a lot, having a really small airway. Um, this kind of attacks the whole problem of sleep from another angle.
Mm-hmm. And have you been doing this for a while and you're getting good benefit from it?
So I started about 6 months ago and I got really good benefits, like maybe about a month and a half, and stayed. And then it's kind of fluctuated since then because there are three phases of the protocol. There's the first phase where you're taking the B50 um, and you're getting your microbiome back. Second phase where you're just managing your D level. And the third phase is where your sleep kind of it's supposed to fall apart again, and it means you need more um, B vitamins, but only a little bit. And you have to kind of figure out that dose because you're doing um, Dr. Gominak calls it the deferred repairs stage, which is where you kind of like get back some of the growth you might have lost, or it's when a lot of underlying health issues can start to get fixed because you're sleeping well, you're getting enough REM and deep sleep, but your body needs more Bs to do those repairs. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this is kind of theoretical, uh, but she has a bunch of case studies of patients who've like had really like bad health issues like autoimmune diseases slowly start to go away after a while because they're getting sufficient deep and REM sleep and their
Mm-hmm.
bodies are repairing.
Do you know if vitamin D and the B complexes are something you can get from organ meat?
Um,
Like
she
I'm,
recommends just taking supplements because with organ
yeah,
meats, they have different doses. You can't have a standardized dose
right, right.
when it
But
comes to
I'm
people
wondering
who,
if what this comes down to is, people not getting enough sunlight and people not eating enough organ meat. You know, I I'm always wondering how we're violating nature to cause these problems, and I'm totally open to the idea that we're lacking in vitamin D and that our microbiome is shit in most cases, especially after all the antibiotics we take as kids to deal with strep throat and ear infections that we get from, being mouth breathers and so on. Um, yeah, I think that's super interesting, man. There's a million reasons to take vitamin D, and it seems like a pretty low effort thing to do. Maybe not a super low cost thing, but probably not too
yeah,
expensive either.
yeah. So most of
But
the
yeah.
supplements you can just get from CVS. Um,
Hmm.
and I guess the most expensive thing would be you have to get vitamin D blood tests to make sure that you're in the right levels, like once a month. But you can order those online. Uh, or
Mm.
go to LabCorp. And for in terms of specifically coming from organ meats, with most foods, according to Dr. Gominak, I mean, again, a lot of this, like, I'm not sure, like, how, like, because this is really new, there isn't a lot of research on it yet, mostly just case studies. Um, she she said that most B vitamins that are in food are actually just cofactors for B vitamins. They're not the actual B vitamins themselves.
Mm.
So I'm not sure like if you'd be able to do that from organ meat. But the B vitamins aren't the whole idea of it is they're not something you'd be on forever. They would usually be like maybe a year at most. But then once you like get your sleep right and you go like into the deferred repairs phase, you go past that, then you really don't need any more bees. Uh,
Mm.
and then eventually you
Yeah.
might not even need any more vitamin D supplements if you go out into the sun enough. But that might be
Right.
really difficult since we all live
Yeah, that's
inside.
hard, especially up north. Yeah. I mean, at this time of year up here, the sun is pretty uncommon. Um, it's only out infrequently, and it's cold as a witch's titty. So like going outside, starting in late December, it's just painful to be outside in New England. And if you are outside, your whole body is covered with clothes. So yeah, but yeah, I know liver has a ton of vitamin D.
Mm.
Um, so that's a natural way of getting that, but not a lot of people eat liver, and especially now that the Liver King has been exposed,
Oh yeah.
even less people are going to eat liver because probably they're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, even though liver is, objectively speaking, fantastic food. Um,
I eat a lot of beef heart.
you do?
Yeah,
Oh, damn,
it's
that's legit, bro.
it's super cheap, and also I just get it from the farm market, so
Wow.
it's cheap, but it's like high quality. Uh, So
Fuck
I've
yeah.
tried that, trying to experiment with
Damn.
some recipes. Just
Respect, bro.
just one last thing I wanted to say about the Right Sleep program. The main thing that I really like about it is that because the different paradigm, it's bad sleep is a deficiency state. It's not like, oh, you run your phone too long. You gotta have better sleep habits, which that might have some merit, but I've definitely had a lot better success like with doing this program, getting my vitamin D right, than just like trying to set a consistent bedtime. Because what always happens is like I'll try to go to sleep, I'll have my phone on the other side of the room, then I give up and I'm just on my phone. And then like
Because
after
you
a
can't
couple
sleep?
hours, yeah.
Why can't you
Or it's,
sleep?
so a lot of times like I kind of went through the phase of like in high school, I always wanted to sleep late, but then, and that's usually how it went throughout college. Um, and I always woke up super tired, which I feel like is pretty common. I don't actually know anyone who actually wakes up feeling super refreshed, ready to go for the day. Um, and then after I graduated college, I started waking up really early, even on weekends when I wanted to sleep late, but I could never go back to sleep. And then I noticed like I actually have a lot of trouble falling asleep too. Uh, and I would usually just be on my phone for hours before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And about a month and a half into doing Right Sleep, I was reading a bit, and I noticed because I this a while before I decided I would start reading for bed instead, um, and I would usually get through a few chapters and then like go on my phone or something. But I noticed about a month and a half through Right Sleep, I could barely get through a page before I was just too tired and wanted to go to sleep.
Huh. Huh.
That
Yeah,
was the
that's incredible. That's
uh,
incredible. So my one comment would be I would consider this a supplement to all the other things that you have to do to get good sleep, and not think that, oh, this is the magic bullet and all the other stuff doesn't matter. I can, have the fluorescent lights on till the moment I go to bed, and I can drink coffee in the afternoon, and I can, be stressed and have all of this mental baggage, and I can, do all of these things that are terrible for sleep, stay up really late the night before and screw up my circadian rhythms, not have good sleep hygiene, and then, oh, just It was vitamin D all along. Like that's if I can have all of these shitty habits, and if I just do this sleep right uh, program and do vitamin D and a B complex, that that's the magic bullet to good sleep. I would say you have to do all of it at the same time. And if you're doing all of the good things and you're still not sleeping well, which it sounds like you were doing, then yeah, maybe it's time to add this supplement component as well. No, but I
Yeah.
absolutely think that sleep is a skill and that you have to get a lot of things right all at the same time to do it well. I would
Mhm.
add, there's a million other things I could add to what it takes to sleep good. Another one is, incline bed. I sleep with my bed on an incline. That's a huge
Huh.
help. That
I
helps me
haven't heard
fall
about that.
asleep. Oh yeah, man, you gotta get on that.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Look up incline bed therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been doing it since 2017.
And does it,
And
how
then,
long does it take to work? Like you incline your bed and then do you notice it immediately, like the night you?
yeah,
Okay.
immediately you're like, holy shit, this is super comfortable.
Like what are the mechanics behind that?
So honestly, there's a whole school of thought out there called incline bed therapy, and they have all this theory about, oh, when you sleep at an incline, gravity causes blood to flow downhill through your body, and then as it flows downhill, it creates circulation back uphill, and then you end up just overall with more circulation, and it's healthier and just more therapeutic and more relaxing.
Hmm.
I don't care about any of that. All I care about is it's more comfortable for me, and it
Okay.
works.
What kind of angle, like, does it have to be?
The head of the bed should be between 5 and 7 inches above the feet of the bed. And this is the entire frame that's lifted. This isn't just, the mattress folded up like this, like on a $5,000 bed with a,
Like the legs of the
with,
bed have to have something on them?
yes, like the entire bed is tilted, not just the head of the bed, like at a hospital.
Okay.
And so a
That's easy
super,
enough.
yeah, you can do it, especially if you have a smaller bed and it only has two legs at the head and nothing in the middle. All you need is like a couple of stacks of copy paper. Copy paper is the best because it's number one, inexpensive, and number two, they're all exactly the same thickness. If you go to Staples or just, jump on Amazon and order 3 stacks for each side is what I use. They're all
Hmm.
equal height. They're super inexpensive because it's hard to get 6 books that are exactly the same thickness, and books are much more expensive than copy paper. So you can do that, but if you have a bigger bed, that doesn't work because you have more legs, not only at the head of the bed, but also in the middle of the bed to make sure that the mattress doesn't cave in. So, what is better for a king size bed or even a queen is these new foam wedges that they make to treat uh, acid reflux. They're not actually incline bed wedges, they're acid reflux wedges because people who get acid reflux also get great benefit from sleeping on an incline. And
Hmm.
when I started this 5 years ago, these weren't available. You couldn't find these wedges. As of like a year ago, I'm seeing them now. You can get them anywhere: Amazon, Walmart, freaking Brookstone makes one. They're about $200
Okay.
for a king
So,
size. So less for smaller beds. I'll put a link in the description for anyone who's interested. Highly recommended, though.
yeah, I'll definitely have to look at that. I remember you talked about the root cause of why we put our tongues down. It's usually because of allergies, right? Or something like that, or some
I think
autoimmune
there's a
issue.
lot. There's a lot of root causes
One
for
of them,
why people develop bad tongue posture early in life. You mean?
yeah, like
Yeah,
allergy
there's
is
a
one of the
lot.
big ones.
That's a big one.
Yeah. So, the right sleep theory about that is that happens like as soon as you start to have bad sleep and your vitamin D levels get low. That's like one of the genetic potential genetic responses because it counts as like an autoimmune issue. And when you're not sleeping well, your like your nervous system and your immune system freaks out.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting. I think that's feasible.
And I think this is definitely like something that the orthotropics community like, should consider between that and also like the fact that sleep, like B vitamins and D, potentially controls your sleep paralysis system, which could be very important for keeping your tongue on the roof of your mouth when you're sleeping. There's a podcast Dr. Gominak did, I think it was with high intensity Mike or high intensity health was the channel, um, where it's a really good intro to RightSleep and how that works. And
Yeah.
she mentions again that sleep disorders happen in parallel to like small jaws, and because our tongues aren't on the roof of our mouth when we're sleeping, we miss out on a lot of growth in that front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super interesting, man. I think that's maybe there's a lot to this right sleep protocol. I'm gonna look into it again. It seems like a super inexpensive, low effort thing that someone can do. So why not
Yeah,
try it?
yeah. I mean, in terms of like health or lifestyle changes, it's pretty damn easy. The
For sure.
only problem is that there's just a lot of uncertainty because there are a lot of points in the program where your sleep could fall apart, or you could have old issues come back, and figuring out whether that's because your D dropped below 60 or if you need a different dose of Bs, that can be really confusing. Um, That's a lot of not like guessing, but like really trying to figure out what's going on. So much uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're only really juggling two variables, right? The D and the B. So it seems manageable.
Potentially. Um, there is one other thing. Um, one other thing symptom that I've been having I forgot to mention earlier that may or may not have to do with sleep. But those are, to answer your question, yeah, it's mostly those two variables. Um, the last, not last summer, the summer before, um, I switched doctors. I went to like more of a holistic doctor, and this is the first doctor to ever test my vitamin D level or even think about testing it. And it was in like the teens.
Oh shit.
So, yeah, so I started supplementing like I think 10,000 IU's, and 2 weeks later, I like was trying to fall asleep, and as soon as I fell asleep, or was starting to fall asleep, I like woke up out of breath, or like I stopped breathing. Like I felt like I had to breathe manually. It was a weird sensation. I thought it was sleep apnea, and I didn't like immediately connect it to vitamin D. Um, and I went to like a cardiologist, a gastroenterologist, a bunch of doctors, and they couldn't really figure out what it was. Um, thought it was potentially acid reflux, um, but later on, I made the connection that it might have been due to having vitamin D at such a high dose, like after not having it for pretty much my entire life. Um, and I,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, I was thinking it might have to do with like the facial underdevelopment in this whole area, but I got my whole life without having any kind of breathing issues like that. And it kind of came and go, like a couple, it came and went like a couple weeks at a time. Um, And then I had another thing during the day where I like felt a subtle like tightness in my throat, chest area. I had no idea what it was. I'm not 100% sure. I think what I think right now is I read that you need magnesium to digest vitamin D or make it usable, and I hadn't taken any magnesium. So I was thinking it was that, and I started taking magnesium, and it seemed to go away, but I didn't really notice it. And then I ran out of magnesium, so I stopped taking it. I was like, oh, whatever. But then it kind of came back. And then eventually I decided to take magnesium again, and that seemed to do it. Now I'm pretty sure
Huh.
it's because of magnesium.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't take any supplements at all personally.
Mm,
None. Zero. For better or for worse, when I hear someone like you talking about supplements and how they can be sort of combined and balanced and have these effects, it makes me feel like I'm missing out. But at the same time, I'm like, fuck, I wouldn't even know how I could begin managing all those supplements. I did at one point try taking certain supplements, but felt like they were just making me super tired. And then I looked into that, and it turns out if you take too much supplements, your body has to fight to excrete the excess, and that can,
Mhm.
burn energy and cause fatigue. And then at that point, I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm not even going to bother. But yeah, I think what you're saying is interesting. And for people who are inclined to mess around with supplements, sounds like D is one hell of a drug. B is
Yeah.
potentially one hell of a drug when used in combination with D, especially with this RightSleep protocol, and then a little bit of magnesium. I know magnesium can be good for headaches, it can be relaxing, but can also cause diarrhea because I think it relaxes the bowels and it's just, for whatever reason, causes you to just shit. I don't know, but so I don't know. I again, and this is why I always look to see how I can supplement with these things in my food because I'm more
Mhm.
drawn to just finding a natural way of getting these things into my system. But maybe that's not possible with the amount of deficiencies that we all have today. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
super interesting what you're sharing.